Special guest on the SMS is Police Inspector General Colonel Gregory Coleman. He's already in studio. Honorable RG, I'd like to say good morning and welcome to the SMS.
Good morning and thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing great, thank God.
Okay. I mean, a familiar territory. How has it been since going back to the police?
Well, it's a family that once you're in, you're never out.
Mm.
So getting back to do what I love doing, and most importantly, with the support network that exists there, a wonderful team, great officers, ready to work, go way above and beyond your call to duty. I think it has made some level of comfort
Mm.
in these trying times where we're trying to restore order uh, and just keep people safe. Yeah.
Mm. Unfinished business. Did you? I didn't hear of you hesitating to go back. If to say that there was unfinished business there for you.
Well, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and our times are in His hands. I still believe there's a lot in me to give back within that sector.
Okay.
So when I was called upon to serve,
Mm.
I welcome the opportunity, and I'm there to make the best of it to ensure that we improve the delivery of law enforcement services in the Republic of Liberia.
Just put into context the current status of the police force. I know you have a very big experience about how you left it in 2018, how you met it in 2024. Is there a difference?
Well, there is a difference because every time the organization is run mainly by the officers, their motivation to perform the duty, and most importantly, the leadership.
Mm.
So whenever there's a leadership change, there will be shift in the entire organizational perspective, which is what we are experiencing right now. However, the vision that we're driving has been made clear. The officers are picking it up and they're running with it, and that's why you're seeing that order is being restored in the nation.
Mm. Remind us about the vision.
Well, it's about the first thing, policing on democratic principles, and that officers know definitely that the only reason they're here is because of the community, and without the community, there's nothing to police.
Mm.
So our vision is to create safe environment where we can foster economic growth and development and advance the greater good of each and every one of us in the country.
Mm. I was listening to your confirmation hearing just last night, just to think about some of the things you're saying. You stressed on the issue of professionalism within the police force. Was it lacking when you met it?
Well, professionalism always has to be improved. The officers are great. They're professional. They just need to be led in the right manner, and that's what we're doing. So at this point in time, we're looking at all of our administrative instructions, our administrative regulations, to make amendments where necessary, and most importantly, incorporate more gender sensitivity into those guiding documents, and continue to set up programs for in-service trainings for the officers. If you want to drive professionalism, you got to continuously upgrade the officers by going back every now and then to get some refresher, so that they don't lose whatever they've been taught over the years. So we have all of that in the pipeline. The academy renovation is coming up, and then we're going to start more in-service training so as to bring officers up to speed as to what we expect from them when they go out to perform their duties. But overall, the call to duty has been very loud. The officers have been quite receptive, and they've been working way above and beyond. Their normal call to duty. And I want to say thanks to each and every one of them, those in leadership and the linesmen as well. We're not there yet. We have our own challenges. But as we encounter them along the road, we make the necessary corrections and we keep going.
And by the way, I should have started with, thanking you for taking one of our own, Cecilia Clark, just talking about the gender lens,
Yeah.
to serve as police spokesperson. Um, I mean, yeah, you want to say something
No,
about?
it was my the honor is all mine.
Mm,
CC, I think is the best choice at this particular point in time, because we're trying to promote gender sensitivity. We're trying to change the dynamics of how we deliver services. So because we're now moving more towards that community oriented policing, where we're going to be getting the consensus building from the community. If you
mm,
look at how we roll out the exercise with the ongoing enforcement,
mm,
it was consensus building, having engagement, getting their support and everything. So this new modus operandi, it creates more opportunities, more jobs for female officers. So what
mm.
we're trying to do now is to ensure that we start to build their capacity to be able to take on most of these roles that would be driving the new agenda for the Liberia National Police.
Public confidence in the police. How is it?
Public confidence is low, and
It's low.
yeah, it is low.
What informed that?
Well, I mean, there were a couple of surveys even before I came in around the elections that we can reference. I think one by Namot, and there's another one from an international source, which I can't really cite right now.
Mm,
But there's a lot of other factors that you can look at to determine the confidence level. One, the number of cases that are reported to police. When you see a significant drop in there, it means that the people just do not even trust you. So why would we even waste our time to come and report when we know that nothing's going to happen?
mm,
But over the last 3 months, we've seen little bit of an increase based on the stats, but it's not at a point where you say, I believe now the confidence is there. So we have to do a lot, increase accountability, trust, communicate better, so that people can understand and believe us again. Because it look, I mean, we're at a very difficult end of the stick. When you serve in a police service, especially in a nation where bad governance has been ingrained for a while,
mm,
all of the anger, the frustration of the people come towards the police. So when anything goes wrong, they know that the police will stand up there to provide that protection of their rights and the protection of the rights of those who are not involved. So automatically the police become the bad guy, and then there's more of those aggressions towards the police because the government there's serious lack in the deliverance of governance services.
mm.
So it is a challenge for us, but as we increase our trust and accountability, reach out more to the community, get their buy-in, try to build an anti-fragile relationship with them that will be able to withstand shocks and stuff. I believe we're going to improve it. And so we're looking at over the next 3-4 months, we're going to call for independent surveys again to see what people confidence level will
Mm.
be like at that particular point in time.
Yeah. It's fully understood that low confidence, police confidence, public confidence in the police was inherited. But I mean, you saw that and you went there.
Yeah.
You went for it. But I just want to understand if you've done enough investigation to know exactly not just the problem, but how the problem can be solved.
Well, so solving the problem is not just a police thing. It's a all of government
Mm,
contribution. Basic social services has to be provided. When you look at what constitutes a safe community, is not just the idea that you have police officers uh, detecting and deterring crime. Is a comprehensive society where those basic lights, street lights
mhm,
in dark corners, working hospitals, schools for children, playground, and everything. That's what make a community safe. So the police, we can play our part. We can do so much and no more. So we all have to come together to complement each other. The exercise that's ongoing with enforcement in a strict enforcement zone is also being complemented by the Ministry of Public Works and the city government, the Monrovia City Corporation. There's a technical committee working behind the scenes to look at the marking of the streets, to look at getting the street lights back on, and to put road signs up so that we can be able to now enforce better within that zone and then extend it on. So it has to be we have to bring resources together. The resources are extremely limited, so we have to synergize and make sure that we're making the best of what's available to us.
But how well sector ministries agencies aware of this, that the provision of basic social services to the public enhances a safe environment, and it makes your job very easy? How well do they know that? For example, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the Ministry of Finance, to disburse funding for the distribution of basic social services and all that. How well do they know?
Well, I won't I can't measure the level of their knowledge, but what we can do is to take leadership role to continue to re-echo it at different events, different called meetings, and within sectoral engagements, and let people know that look, in order for us to succeed, this has to be done.
Mm.
Look at the one of the first unintended consequence of our enforcement exercise was the lack of alternative transport, public transport services,
Mhm.
and everybody complained like, oh, what MTA didn't have buses, so you should not have done this. But that's not how they measure police performance. They do not measure police performance by how many buses are on the street. They measure it by what people can visibly see in terms of how we enforce safety. So we had to start whether the buses were there or not. And the thing is, once we started, by the end of the first day, MTA had one bus up. By the end of the third day, they had up to five buses up in the street. So this one action now started to trigger other actions as well to advance public good.
Mm.
So it's all about how we can support and lead in a way that you encourage other people to do what they should do as well.
Mm.
Yes.
So the first step is protecting lives and properties
Property.
as per your mandate. I see a lot of new guys in new uniforms. Was there a recruitment?
Yes, there were recruitment of two classes in 2023, class 45 and 46, and they're out in the fields right now before being officially assigned to the different posts. So yes, when you see those new officers like you mentioned,
Mm.
they're from those classes, and so we're hoping that once the budget is passes and it's made public to us, that these classes will be incorporated and placed on payroll. Because one of the complaints that
So they're not on payroll yet.
class 45, class 46 have not gotten their salary for a couple of months.
Mm.
But
But yet
it's
they're serving.
yes, yet they are
I
serving.
found that difficult.
Exactly.
How
But it's
doesn't that
it's
have a toll on them, on their service?
it does. Who wants to do free work? I mean, getting up every day, paying your way to come to work and stuff like that. But it's how our budget is structured. Over the last few months, we've been running off 112, and the 112.
Well, it wasn't an emergency to incorporate them.
It wasn't. It is an emergency.
If the
I mean,
funding is not available.
well, it should be treated as an emergency because they're working and they need to be paid. So, but 112 did not incorporate them from the last budget cycle. So we had to wait until we reach until this budget is passed, and then the first payment, they're going to receive their full month salary. So I mean, that's when I talk about how committed and dedicated the officers are. That's just a classic example of people who are dedicated and ready to serve this country. So I mean,
But who was inspiring them to work if they're not receiving salaries?
well, they understand their call to duty. Uh, we can. It's their motivation and dedication to service
Mm.
that's keeping them going, and our own encouragement as leaders and constant communication with them as to where we are in getting things right for them. Uh, I take full responsibility for whatever I inherit, and I'm not going to, because government is continuing it, because we didn't plan well as to how they would have been incorporated, especially at the end of the year, it doesn't mean that I should not answer for it. So as the leader of that organization, it is my responsibility. Even though the planning happened before I got there, but I'm fully responsible for it, and we're making all of the advances to ensure that we get them on at least at the end of this month.
How many are they? And the new recruits, how many are they? And
The two
how,
classes will have about 1,000 plus officers. Yeah.
to some extent, they've beefed up the strength of the police?
Yes, but not nowhere near where we should be to meet up with international best practice, because the police per person ratio should be at least around 1 to 500. Right now, I mean, in 2016, at 4 point something million, we needed up to 8,000 officers. This year, with the new increase in the population, we need almost around 12,000 officers, and we're just around five. So there are serious challenges. And then the one of the thing is, I mean, getting the officers in the leeward area. I mean, the support that should, like hazard pay and stuff for them, in those areas, they're not forthcoming. So they become demotivated. Sometimes you have them deserting the post. We're forced to take administrative action on them, regardless of whatever difficulties there are, at least to be able to maintain the discipline between them. We're not happy to do that, but when they desert, we're forced to act as per our mandate. So I mean, I'm authorized to act, and I'm also authorized to ensure that I make the requisite requests from government to provide what they need to make them to remain motivated and be properly compensated for what the service they gave to the country.
As much as you don't have the right number of men in the force,
Yeah.
I feel that undermines whatever effort you're making to protect lives and properties, because there is this sense of inadequacy. Are you working towards that? Will you be skilling up, training, as per the time? Will you be doing that?
So we can make the necessary recommendations, but the first thing I'm more concerned about is just being able to get the group that we have right now, to be able to get them at least some level of comfort, better pay, better incentives. I mean, the quantity is a thing, but the quality has to also be considered. I mean, at this number, catering to them is already a challenge. So, what do you want to just keep adding and adding? So, the recommendations will be in twofold. One, the first and foremost thing, provide what is needed for the existing officers, and then we can recruit. But if we cannot adequately handle these existing officers, then why add on at this point in time? I'm not saying it's not a need, it's a pressing need, because in some areas you have the police per person ratio going as high as 1 to 3,500 persons. So I mean, and that is very bad, because that one officer, what can he actually do? So I mean, we're making the right calls to government. His Excellency has been extremely supportive. They've been listening to all our different programs. We've done the need assessment and everything. The Minister of Justice is there, always lifting our cause whenever we call out. So there are some plans within the pipeline, but let's see how things go. I mean, over the next few months, hopefully we will be able to get some improvement for our officers. They've made some requests that I've listened to. I've heard it very well. I've clearly communicated those requests, and they're all legitimate concerns. So let's hope we can address those, and then before we look at expanding.
Are there crime zones? As somebody who was in the force before, heading the team, I know you earmarked areas that need police attention to curb crimes and criminal activities.
Yeah.
Where are those areas, and do they still remain from the time you were there and now?
So that there are areas that there's more prevalence of crime, but it fluctuates every now and then. So whenever we deploy resources in those areas that we're noticing a surge in crime, then it moves on to another area. But the question is a bit tricky. So I would choose not to list areas, because the next will be IGC, this is a no-go zone because of crime. But we have our crime stat that we're going to be coming up with in the next month
Okay.
or so. And the stats will basically give you detailed explanation as to, these areas that you can see prevalence of crime. But I don't want to just list anywhere right now before it be like, oh, it's this area, it's
Yeah.
that area. But yeah,
Okay.
we are concerned, seriously concerned about certain. We're seriously concerned about certain areas, and every time we get those concerns, we make tactical adjustments to ensure there's a reduction of crime. It's not just by the presence of police officers, but it's also engagement of the communities, having those community discussions, letting the community members know what we're noticing, what could be their role to support policing in their areas, and other mechanisms. Sometimes we go in with the community watch forum.
Mm.
We help to equip and train their people so that they're actively involved as well, and that has been really really helpful.
Yeah.
Our website is being redesigned at this point in time. There will be a special a portal that will be able to give you detailed explanation of all of the stats. You will be able to see where these crimes are being carried out, and the time in which they occur as well, and the kinds of crimes that are in those areas. So uh, that would be our way of communicating, so that we don't just brand certain
Mm.
communities as the dangerous areas, because in all of those communities are good people, citizens demanding the service of protection of their lives and properties as well.
Prior to you leaving 2018, there was a noticeable initiative that you undertook, the installation of CCTV cameras at various points. I remember one was in Broadville, I think somewhere around EW as well. Are you introducing that initiative? Reintroducing it?
So they were all decommissioned after I left.
Mm.
We're looking at a bigger project, a safe city project. There's a lot of assessment being done. We've gotten the first quotation on it. It's a massive project, very intensive, and we're still reviewing it, looking at other options to see what would be the best, at least within range,
Mm.
and then we can roll it off from there. But there are a few secret cameras being installed, but I mean, I would not consider it in the to be able to achieve what we're looking for. This one is more for accountability for our officers,
Okay.
and in strategic areas where we've noticed that there's been continuous report of harassment.
Mm.
So we've deployed those cameras in those areas just to be able to monitor ourselves, to police ourselves, and then take the requisite actions when we catch ourselves in the camera.
Mm. Uh, does the public know about those cameras?
The public, no one knows where they are.
Okay.
I mean, the officers. I mean, you're just letting them know that they're out there right now.
Mm. Okay, you're listening to the Super Morning Show. This morning we have Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman. Let's talk about the no-go zone restriction. First of all, I was confused and didn't know the rationale beyond the early introduction of such a restriction. And on top of that, I was also confused and shocked to have heard that you've also issued 11 p.m. How do we call it? Um, restriction on the motorcyclists that don't plow the streets when it's 11. Let's talk about the no-go zone restriction. What informed the decision to introduce the restriction?
So let me make this emphatically clear. There is absolutely nothing like a no-go zone. The road users are taxpayers,
Mm.
and they have access to the road at all times. I mean, if for any reason the police deem it necessary to shut down certain routes, or deem it not safe for certain vehicles in certain areas, we make the pronouncement, and then we enforce it. What we have is a strict enforcement zone. We're not stopping anybody from entering that zone. We've just given them what the law says, and how you can, once you're complying with the law, you can enter. So it's not about uh, just wanting to create this era where nobody's supposed to enter. We're just saying when you're entering this era, this is where the vehicle and traffic laws are being the first era where we're going to be strictly enforcing them. And it's not just for motorcyclists. It's going to extend. The reason why we were concerned about them because they're the most vulnerable. The accident rates, I mean, very, very high. Every day there were brain trauma at the JFK hospital, and most of those accidents came from within the corridor that we've cut off right now. Uh, so what we did, we just decided to enforce the law, which is what the government of Liberia pay us to do. So
So
that
this is lawful.
yeah, yeah, it is. It is everything, every last restriction that we have earmarked for this particular exercise. They're all backed by the law.
Mm.
The vehicle must be insured. Driving is a privilege; it's not a right. So, I mean, in order to enjoy those privileges, there are other responsibilities that come with it. You must be registered to use the road. You must be licensed to use the road. You must drive under safe conditions when you're riding a motorcycle or a tricycle. So we just decided to enforce the law. I think at first we were going about it the wrong way, which was what you were referencing as the no-go zone. But then after the consensus building with them, it was the motorcyclists themselves. I said, listen, we just want to be compliant with the law. We don't want you to restrict us from where to go. So we said, deal. The vice president came in. They sat there. They said what they wanted. He asked me if it was something that we could accommodate. I told him as a vice president, yes, 100%. This is the law, and that's what they're asking for. So I think we should comply with it,
Mm.
and that's why we've started this. And I think it's ultimately the best angle to have taken it from instead of coming up with a no-go zone restriction.
I guess we're in a third week.
Yep.
How is it? How is the compliance?
Fanti Megan say my bunny ratting, but you're a road user. What do you see? What do you think?
It's still difficult for people who go to town. They can't find a bag.
Okay, so it's not just about the difficulty, because when you talk about the difficulty of getting the ride, then it takes one step outside of my control or my area of responsibility, and that it goes on those who are responsible to provide public services. But using the road as a road user, what do you think? What the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks? I mean, does it look better?
Maybe
than,
we'll open the phone lines and
does it
people will
look better
give
than?
their
Yeah,
own testimony.
yeah.
But I'm concerned about
Do you fly to work?
I'm concerned about making transportation easy as much as you want to protect
Yeah,
those who commute. Are these motorcyclists chooping to register their bags,
of course,
getting
of
their
course.
helmets?
They're becoming more compliant by the day, and I mean, it's amazing. We didn't just stop there. We look. We're here to solve problems. The leadership came back to the office and sat with us and said, "Listen, this is a little too high for us. Here it is. We're paying for chauffeur license, and at the back of the license, there's a category that's not being issued. It is category D. It should be motorcycle license. Immediately, we pick up the phone and call the Minister of Transport. That has been looked into already, and I think the price will be reduced for them to somewhere around, I think somewhere around $30 or so. So that was one problem solved. They came back with the insurance. The insurance is too high. We called the Association of Insurance Company. We called the central bank, and they came back with around $95 from the $125 that they claimed they were paying. So we've been working closely with them to be able to ease some of the difficulties they're having behind the scene, and they're complying.
One of the difficulties too with the issue of the insurance is that the insurance companies are refusing them because of the frequent commission of accidents.
They're high risk clients, but companies are still accepting them. They're still registering them.
Mm.
But I mean, come on, if you're in a business where like insurance, you want to make sure that you're not insuring someone who will have a higher chance of being involved in an accident. And that's why we're not just stopping there. We're going to be complementing it with training and how to use the road, just to be able. So once we conclude with the Ministry of Transport, on the licensing issue. Then going forward, as they register for license, the last component before getting a license would be to come to the academy to get some level of training on road safety and how to to use the road responsibly before the licenses will be given to them. So this week, the Minister of Transport and the Liberia National Police will conclude all of the details, and then we'll start to roll out their trainings.
But given the difficulties that they face with the insurance companies, don't you think there should be flexibility there with the insurance? You can get everything. You can be helmeted. You can have your view mirrors. You can have your reflective jackets. You can have your bags registered, your plates and all that. But when it comes to the insurance, that which they find it very difficult because the insurance companies are kind of skeptical about how to take them. Don't you think there should be flexibility with the insurance issue?
Well, what I think is one thing, but does it really matter what I think? As Inspector General of Police, I'm a law enforcer. I can only enforce the law. It's not about what I think or what I feel or how what I want to enforce or not enforce. So I mean, if there's a need for it to be changed, it has to go back to the house. But for now, once it's written as a law, I'm duty bound to enforce it. And that's why, because like you say, what you think, that's why I made it my duty to go back to the insurance company to encourage them to take them and to also reduce the price for them. But I cannot say that we'll relax the insurance because I don't have that authority to do so.
What has the restriction exposed?
A reduction in crime. I did not fully verify, but I did see a post from the brain surgeon at JFK speaking about the reduction of trauma, the brain trauma on a daily basis at the hospital. Well, I mean, that is the only thing that has changed over the last 2 weeks is the restriction, even though we have not done a full research to actually verify. But the one variable that we know that has changed is the fact that this restriction, more people are wearing helmets, more people are being are taking the necessary safety steps to keep themselves safe. So there's orders being restored on the road. People can drive more freely and safely. The motorcycles who are compliant, they are following the laws. We have a lot of them who have just decided not to be compliant. There's been massive assault on police officers with these motorcycles. We've had over 18 cases where officers being injured just by motorcycles just deciding to run through the enforcement zone and wound the officers. Now they're coming with sticks, assaulting the officers. I mean, and these are things that we'll have to put measure in place to curtail them. And look, what the only way we can calculate the use of force is whatever it takes to ensure that we're able to bring you to subjection to the law. So if you violate and you think that it's okay that you can assault the officers with stick, we'll go after you. And those who choose to ride these motorcycles that are non-compliant and enter the enforcement zone, you're doing it at your own risk, because we use whatever mechanism available to us to make sure we stop them. And in that regard, you are going to be placed at risk. The one thing you can do is
because there was an incident at Varflay.
Okay, well, I don't know which incident you're talking about, but there's been numerous incidents
where police chased a violator, and the violator, fell and got hurt, was taken to JFK, and all that.
And go to the last part.
No, you can tell me.
And that he had a weapon on him. He came and ran through the enforcement zone. Okay, so these are the things we're talking about. The people, most of the crimes being committed, the vehicle of escape has been motorcycles. So we'll talk about the 11 o'clock restriction you mentioned. We're saying let's stop running by 11, so at least the criminals can have way to move from one place to another. So if you are violating after 11 o'clock on a commercial motorcycle, you're not having an emergency to rush someone to hospital or anything, which of course, if you're in a legitimate emergency, you will stop and explain to the police that this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to save a life here. And the police will even give you assistance to be able to get you to where you're going to save that life. But once you start to run, we know automatically you're a criminal. The case that you just mentioned, he bulldozed the checkpoint, ran through. I mean, no, as a matter of fact, he was just unfortunate because as soon as he bulldozed the checkpoint, he ran straight into the bus. Ran, nobody was paying attention to him because we already knew he had bulldozed and he was gone. Ran straight into the bus, fell down. When they went to check him, he had a weapon. So those who are violating after this 11 o'clock time frame, they're merely criminals. They're merely criminals, and that's why we're going to be coming down very, very hard on them. There's strict order for officers to enforce because once you own it, it's the getaway vehicle, or most of the cell phones and stuff that have been pulled away from people how by motorcycles. There are great young men and women out there riding to provide for their families. Equally so, there are criminals who have jumped among them to use that particular means of transportation as the mode of operations. And that's why we're continually asking people, please adhere to the restrictions. Ride with only those who are authorized. Wear your helmet so that the police don't have to chase you.
Some of the motorcyclists have started complaining that the 11 p.m. is so close. It's so close. Some of them,
we intend to bring it down to 10. We intend to bring it down to 10. So let's just stick to the 11 for now and observe it. But we're looking
I still do believe there are genuine, very sincere, responsible motorcyclists who still ride up to 11. But I also do believe 12 a.m.
What informs your belief for 12 a.m.?
12 a.m. I do believe that there wouldn't be any genuine, responsible family man motorbike rider out there.
Okay, so listen, you got from 6 o'clock in the morning. So you think you really want to ride from 6 o'clock in the morning straight to 11 o'clock in the night or 12 o'clock in the night? As a matter of fact, you should even be tired. That's one of the reasons why you need to go rest. So that time frame, we're looking at bringing it down to 10. If the crime do not within the next month, if it doesn't drop to where we want it to, and we start see, look, we're not just doing guesswork. We're looking. The police has got a good crime statistics database, and when you look at the analysis, it informs you of what you need to do to prevent some of these crimes from happening. You look at the hours of prevalence and everything, you're able to make informed decisions. So this is not guesswork. This is an analysis being done. So if the crime doesn't go to where we want it, we drop it to 10.
A lot of people are concerned about, sustaining those who appreciate it, sustaining the restriction, even the 11 p.m. curfew. But what the political system cannot guarantee is that it will be sustained despite being lawful. If so, your predecessor who have introduced it. I want to know, given that this is a political job, you may be removed the next day. What's been put in place to sustain this restriction?
Well, it's like you say, it's the leadership. You referenced my predecessor is the leadership. We can decide what to focus on. We just be focusing on enforcing the law. And it's my hope that as a law enforcement body, if even I'm out of this seat and someone else is replaced, I hope they just come ready to do their job, and that is to enforce. So this, look, we're not waiting to police to just continuously police people throughout. It is our hope that through these exercises with education, more information out there, that people will learn the culture of safety, and safety will become a thing that people do, not because they're police, but they do it because it is a way of life. That's where we're hoping to go. It's taking a lot on the police just to sustain this, because we're committing all of our resources to this particular exercise. And it's causing some very, very serious strain on us, but that's what we're supposed to do. We're hoping that once we get more logistics, it will be a little more easier. But for now, we're committing basically everything to these exercises. And yes, we do intend to sustain it. We want to sustain it to the point where people know that they must be responsible enough to follow the laws. You have bikers now who are testify of the importance of helmet because they've had accidents that they've been saved by the helmet. And they're still and tell you, say, listen, I would never ride a bike without helmet again because why the helmet just saved their life. I mean, I've had two stories of such. I'm asking the press and public affairs to see if they can follow up with those people and get their testimonies as well.
Mm.
It's about building a culture of safety. It's not. We don't want to be policing people back and forth. We want people to do it because it's the right thing to do to keep their lives safe. But until they can learn it, look. We're responsible to protect people's lives and their properties. If you're even irresponsible and you want to kill yourself, we're there to stop you. So basically, those who are recklessly riding and want to kill themselves will say, no, we're not going to allow you to kill yourself. You're valuable. This country needs you. So we're going to make sure we do everything to protect you that you will stay alive. By fire, by force, we may you stay alive to make a contribution to this beautiful Labrador that everybody wants to see.
Okay, let's just lastly before we take calls, Colonel Gregory Coleman, the issue about Mohammed Jabate, the police commander in Totota, who was also victimized by the
fire, the tanker explosion.
The tanker explosion. What's his fate?
Well, I cannot. His fate is with God. But his current condition is one of severe pain. He's been deteriorating over the past few weeks. So on I think Friday, I went up to. I was coming from the border and I stopped to visit him, and I saw the condition he was in. We moved him to the 14 military hospital, where they have surgeons that are responsible for specifically for burn, and I just got a text on the assessment from India on what it would take to fly him there for advanced treatment as well. The doctors at 14 military have provided some level of comfort, a little more than what he was in when he was at home, and while we work out the details to see if we can get him over to India. I think one of our greatest challenge will be to fly him out, because no commercial airline, I mean, so far that we've spoken to, will be willing to take in the condition that he's in. But we're working on it to see how we can advance it. So we'll take advice from the doctors there at the hospital, but we've gotten a quote from India already as to what it would take to do his reconstructive surgery. So it is a priority for us. Jabate was performing his lawful duties, trying to get people away from the tanker when it blew up, and he became a victim as well. He's one of the few survivors, and it is our hope that we can do everything to be able to save his life.
But this latest intervention by you is followed, public complaint that he was abandoned by the police.
Toyota has never been abandoned by the police. If you have the time, you can reach there and go and talk directly to him. At no point in time.
That's what he said. Anyway.
No, at no point in time was he ever abandoned. No point in time. Personally, I mean, even before taking over as Inspector General of Police, I went there to him to the hospital. When he was discharged, I made sure with whatever little comfort we could provide his home. I personally bought him an AC, at least just to have that level of comfort at home. And when he went home, the police continued to follow up with them, giving assistances back and forth. It's the family members are sitting there, they're looking at him on a daily basis. So they see the need for further intervention. We are not there. We can only provide whatever support from the back end. So when they call out, I mean, whether through the media or whatever, it's our responsibility to answer to see whether whatever assistances we're giving, whether it's adequate or not. So that's, I mean, good thing. Look, you all in the media, your agenda, you set the agenda. So when you talk about things, we should listen as public officials. The thing about it is, even before you all started to speak, and I can show you documents with data.
Yeah, everything. I do have here in my possession the insurance company, the clinic that he went to.
Yeah, side clinic.
Side clinic. Yeah.
Okay, so this was before you all even started to talk about it. If you look at the dates on it.
Yep.
Yeah. So he was never abandoned. We have always been looking into getting him for better treatment. So if you see the date on that document, It's in sometime in April before
April 30.
you all escalated it. So I mean, abandoning an officer who was making his contribution. I mean, officer who's making serious sacrifice, like each and every one of them, and then in your line of duty just to be abandoned. I don't think that's something that I would sleep for. So I hear the family.
Mm.
I feel Jabate pain. I went there. I could not stand what I saw. I was human. I wept
Mm.
and took the necessary actions that needed to be taken immediately.
Okay, Aji, let's take calls. Call us on 0770 581886, 0770 Let's hear from this person. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, family.
Good morning. What's the name?
This is Coleman for calling you from Lover County, Fuya District this morning, family.
Yeah, let's hear you, Lawrence.
Let me say hi to Daddy because my father was a late police man. So today, if I hear him, that allegation, but we believe the only question I have, family, that the open in for the country, the number of police is supposed to improve. Now the number they have is whether the police department has any online or any private line. If they don't have, before you leave, then the woman please also that 4 years. Have one number to share with other people. Thank you so much, good morning, family.
Thank you very much. Morning to you.
Good morning, Chief Varflay, and good morning to Coleman. This is LSS Coleman, the chairperson for the intellectual class of India.
Yeah, let's hear you.
I actually want to appreciate him for the reforms that he normally brings to the police. But my attention is drawn to a few things. Normally, when it comes to the position in modify the entire system, and after in leave the same, everything go back to normality. I don't know what plan do he have for future say of all of the different policies that he put in place. Okay. The next question, the issue about the insurance in Liberia. The insurance company in Liberia, normally they take our insurance fees for our vehicle, but when accident happen, even when we are at the traffic court, they don't come out. What the police also doing to put their feet to fire so that they can come to the call of their client. Thank you very much. Again, my name.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Alice Kopasumi, and I call from Morville.
Yeah.
I just want to appreciate the Inspector General of Police for a deliberation. I think he said it all. And I want to speak strictly to the issue of the motorcycle regulations. I think in my mind, it's in the best interest of the motorcyclists. And like the RG said, the police is there to protect life and property. So both our brothers who are riding recklessly, the police is saying to them that we want to protect your life. We don't want you to cause chaos to yourself or to the passion that you'll be carrying, because they are all citizens and they have meaningful contribution to make to the nation. So I just want to add on to his voice to call on the motorcyclists to adhere to the regulations and to be law abiding. Okay. Because the law is the law, and the law will always prevail.
Okay, thank you. Let's hear from this person. Good morning.
Good morning, Varflay.
Yep.
And thank you. Let me say good morning to the many listeners following the broadcast. My name is Gregory William Covey, and I joined this conversation from District 3 as the National Secretary General for the United Party National Motorcyclists Confederation. Let me appreciate the IG so much for his late deliberation, but I'm disappointed a bit in the IG that the meeting we hear at the Vice President's office, when you check in that photo, the person in the blue coat, it is me. And there were no driver license included into that measure. But it was surprising to me that the police were enforcing the regulation and they started to put driver license in it. And let assume that even driver license, now the police went back into that process and decided to bring driver license. Why is it that the taxi and the truck cannot have the same license, but then you want the motorbike and the taxi to have the same license to pay the same amount? How are you see to transport? Even when it comes to registration, the motorbike is the least registered moving object. They don't pay the amount of taxi. So how can you divide the same license on the? In fact, I would think we risk it, because psychology who haven't go to driving school have a lesson in a car and show you lesson I'm a driver and they can take risk like other people's life. It is more risky. So I suggest that let them try to look for lessons for motorbike special. It shouldn't be the same as taxi.
Okay, thank you very much. We can take this call. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning,
brother.
Yeah, what's the name?
And good morning to the ERBC family. This voice is Fode Mohammed Kakwe, political Nyang, and I join you from my research center in District Number 11, Caldwell. I listened to the RG. He spoke excellently, and I want to appreciate him for the measures put in place, especially for the motorcyclists. But I have one reservation that I want to share with him when it comes to the issue of insurance and the license. The license, please, let you work with the Ministry of Transport to have a category, because on a no condition, the motorcyclist license will be so as the same as the heavy duty or the light duty. So let it look at that one. Two,
Okay.
the insurance, please. Let them work with the insurance company to see up there the issue of insurance. They get rid of it on motorbikes. For the fact that
Okay.
no matter what happens, motorbikes will continue to every time accident cases, insurance company will not get the chance to go.
Okay, let's hold you there and speak to this last caller. Morning.
Okay.
Morning. You're coming in very broken. What's the name?
My name is James Tanu, and I'm calling from rehab.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to say thank you so much to the RG. He spoke well. And for me, for recently, I've been driving through St. Called to Central Town. I think the bikes are not too much, but I have a question. That if these guys having to meet up all of the requisite requirements, and there are many, they cover like maybe 1,000 again in Central Monrovia. What is the measure that police is putting in place to curtail these guys? And the next thing is, what is the measure you putting in place to curtail some of the reaction from police and citizen protests? Because all the last three protests I have noticed, the reason was to ministerial complaint where police arresting citizens and then King George situation and the UL situation. So is there any measure that you are putting in place at least in the future to curtail this action? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Aju, you listen to the callers, and specifically too, I want to add that there was brutality against the motorcyclist president John Kenyo. I don't know if you know about that. Yeah, so you can just respond to the concerns.
Okay, so the first caller mentioned something about emergency numbers. So the police were working on the short code for the 911 short code. We've engaged MTN and Orange to have it reactivated, and the engineers are looking into it. So probably within a week or two, the 911 short code should be back on. So that is more on the technical side. So they're saying within 1 week, but I would just say let's just give it up to 2 weeks for us to work out all of the details, and the 911 number will be back on. We also have 0770 800 911 as a hotline as well that people can reach out to, and we have the press and public affairs number as well, 0770 800 122. So those are all numbers that you can call for complaints, for emergency issues that you have with the police. You have the professional standard division, 0770 800 107. And someone asked about sustaining the enforcement exercise beyond my stay in police. So we can do so much and no more. What we will do is to strengthen the administrative instructions, the administrative regulations, and to ensure that they are signed off on by the requisite authorities. In some cases, the Minister of Justice as well, and have them as guiding instrument. And whoever gets appointed will be able to honor those documents and follow them. But as for what some measures that are put in place, I cannot control whether they decide to keep them or not. They may be best practices and working. They could come and decide to change them. Like I had a simple vehicle policy, and that policy cautioned the officers, made them to know first and foremost, apart from just being a driver of a vehicle, you have the responsibility as a law enforcement officer to protect lives and property. So they were way more careful with how they use the vehicles on the road and avoided more accidents. When they were told that, listen, this is government vehicle, you come to do government work, and when if you have an accident, government responsible. What did they do? They took that and they damaged the vehicles. So it's I cannot say what happens beyond me, but it's my hope that whoever replaces me will be responsible enough to be able to keep whatever a good
reform
that we will lay out over the period of time that we'll have the opportunity to serve. And the one thing, the riders, the passengers. I know someone talk about the bikes, the license, and the being the same as. I just mentioned that earlier. There's if you look at the back of the driver's license, there's a class on a class D, and that class is for motorcycles. So the Ministry of Transport are working on it to ensure that they activate that class and make adjustment in the price for the license. That I mentioned earlier. And then the issue of the insurance, that to do away with insurance, that will require an act of legislation. But like I say, it's a privilege to drive on the road. Who's responsible for all of these scratches? Do you know how many times people car get scratched and you take care of your trouble? Yeah, and then they got to go and now spend money from their own pockets to fix the car. So we all have to be responsible. If you're going to be riding on the road and you have an accident, you must be able to cover for the accident. The only thing that guarantees us that you will be able to pay for that accident is the fact that we know that you have insurance. So getting rid of the insurance is not something that we can do. If the lawmakers decide to remove it from the law, then so be it. But for now, it's the law.
The issue of the motorcyclist president, just briefly.
Yes, John.
Are you aware?
Yeah, John did come under attack. His vehicle was damaged somewhere in the Painesville area here. The police went in and they rescued him, and we took him to Central. Even his home did come under attack, and we provided the necessary support for him. Look, everything about this place has become political. There's a need for us to separate politics from reality. This thing, I mean, it's people's lives that we're dealing with. So if someone decides to be compliant, work along with the police to save more lives, why should it be a target? I mean, there is something that is just fundamentally wrong here. The young people have just found a way that believe that violence is the only way of expressing whatever difficulties or whatever issues they have. Violence never works. It never. It always boils down to us coming back as reasonable and responsible, intelligent men to sit and discuss these issues. So, I mean, to those who carry out the attack, few persons were arrested. I think they've been forwarded to court. And we've provided some level of protection for all of their leadership whenever they call and express some level of unsafety.
Well, Honorable RG, it's been a pleasure speaking with you at this time. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Well, Police Inspector General Colonel Gregory Coleman there. He's been my guest on this Super Morning Show. My name is Varflay. Kamara, join me tomorrow for another presentation. Bye-bye.